And he throws the sword way high into the air, and when it lands at the water surface, a woman's arm comes out of the water, and it takes the sword and extracts it back in, the Lady of the Lake. When Bedivere goes back to tell Arthur, he's not there. His body is gone. And he sees him on a boat sailing away with 3 beautiful women. Okay? In other words, his body is being taken away. Bedivere himself will then construct the famous burial site of Arthur, and on the tombstone the lines will be, "Once and future king." That line, "Once and future king," becomes really, really important. The idea is simple. Arthur will return in England's greatest moment to somehow give England back its glory. He will come back. This is often what we refer to as the messianic theme of the Arthurian motif. The idea of the return of the king, right? The idea that the king will come back and save us. This notion sits really strongly in the minds of the English as we approach the year 1776 and beyond. The colonists who signed the Declaration of Independence are acutely aware of this motif and the importance of the king. That's why it's so significant that when Washington is voted the President of the United States, this huge debate ensues about what to call him. Because there's a number of those intellectuals who signed the Declaration of Independence who want Washington to be the new Arthur. And there are some who whisper, I mean, can you find a better candidate for King Arthur than Washington? Think about why that would work. He is a tremendous fighter. He is a remarkable leader. And he's unbelievably humble. I mean, you can't find those 3 traits in most great leaders. Notice the debate then for Washington is a simple one. No, I don't want to be called a king. I don't want us to consider presidents as kings. How significantly important has this idea been? Well, Mr. Dewar has been lecturing you on one of the great presidents in American thought, John F. Kennedy. Before Kennedy is assassinated, Life magazine is allowed to come out and visit his home. That Life spread becomes one of the most famous of all time for Life magazine. Do you know what they called their cover story? And it was on the cover of the magazine itself. A Return to Camelot. No kidding. There were lots of people who identified Kennedy as the new Arthur. That is to say, think about it. In the time in which Kennedy is elected, he is perceived as this great unifier, this individual who's going to bring about finally the cohesion of all Americans, etc., etc. This notion of the great unifier, the great Arthur, remains then in even the American psyche a really significantly important moment. Well, there you go, an introduction to King Arthur and the Knights of the Round Table. To amplify our story, we're going to study an old movie from the 80s called Excalibur, to just give you kind of a general review of what this storyline looks like.